Hey everybody, happy Friday. This is Chris Robinson, Robinson Ag Marketing, with today's post-close grain and livestock comments for the ninth day of January, the first Friday of the month, first Friday of the year. Here we go. For the day, March corn down a quarter cent, 4.45 and 3/4 and a 4 cent range. For March beans, up a quarter, 1 1/4 cent at 10.62 and a half, and a tight 8 cent range, 7.5 cent range. For March wheat, a pretty good trading range from 21 to 13. We settled at 17 and a quarter, down 3/4 cent. But I want to get to the weeklies, guys. Pretty good moves for the week. March corn up 8 1/4 cent, on a little bit of a bullish hook on the week. What does that mean? Well, we made a new low, but then settled higher. So is that the start of something? Boy, I really hope so for everybody out there. In the beans, up 17 cents on the week, an inside week up. So good rallies. And in wheat, Chicago wheat up 10 3/4 cent. So, sometimes you lose the forest for the trees with this. You start, watching what do we do today, blah, blah, blah. Pretty good action for the wheat, for the entire week heading into this report on Monday. Now, I don't know what we're going to say. I just got off the radio with Chip Flory. I don't know what the USDA is going to say. I wish I did, but I've been doing this long enough to know that even if somehow I had the numbers, sometimes you get a bearish number and the market rallies. People forget that. Sometimes you get bullish numbers and the market collapses. So I'm more concerned about what the market says than what about anybody's opinion is. Perfect example, right? We got kind of people were, screaming about the miss in the unemployment number today. We missed by 16,000 jobs. Immediately, guys are saying that's it. The Fed's not going to cut rates anymore. It's over. And what did the market do? Well, you got new all-time highs in the S&P 500, 7,017 in the futures. You've got the Dow Jones futures uh, closing in on 50,000, trading at 49,800. So we're about 125 points away from a 50,000 print in the Dow, and here we are with the S&P 500 above 7,000. Just incredible rallies. Back in April, remember April, the dark days of April, they were pretty darn dark. We had a big sell-off there. They called it the Trump crash, whatever you want to call it. 18-19% correction, and since then we've rallied 35% in the Dow Jones. Over 12,000 points. Similar numbers, I think it's 35, 40, I think it's even 45% in the S&P 500. It will be in the letter today. I did the math earlier, but anybody that told you back in April, hold on, we're going to rally 35, 40% in the next 9 months. I think, they've been checking into the guys with the white straitjackets would have been coming to see you. So anyway you cut it, that's my caveat for what happens on Monday with the USDA report. Sometimes you get information that's already baked into the market. The market's already addressed it, and we can rally. So I'm going to leave Friday here on a positive note that the grains were able to have good weekly rallies. 8 1/4 cent in corn, 17 cents in the beans, 10 3/4 cent in the wheat. Hopefully that's the start of something where we can really get going here and recover and then push fire higher. In the protein complex, fat cattle for the week down $1.30. Feeder cattle for the week up $1.80. And the hogs, that was the big mover, up 260 on the week, a new high for the move. All across the board, cattle and hogs are basically at 10-week highs, 2.5-month highs, what you have it. We did end a little bit lower for the day. In the day, April fats finished down $1.50 at 234.60. The March feeders finished down $3 at 354.70, and April hogs finished down 15 cents at 91.75. But again, for the week, pretty good week for the protein complex. Feeders up $1.80, hogs up 260. The fat cattle, that was the one concern. It did finish down $1.30 on the week. I think we're going to wait and see. The other thing that didn't happen today, we didn't get any news about the Supreme Court was supposed to rule on the validity of the tariffs, right? If that was to go away, that could probably reprice this a little bit. What else am I looking at? Well, if you've been following my letter, you know I've been screaming quite a bit about the fact that we had 7 month lows in diesel. We traded as low as 205 in diesel. We're at 212 right now. I'm not trying to call a bottom in or not, but I know a 7 month low. If you're using a lot of diesel, nobody buys the low. Nobody sells the high, nobody buys the low. Right? That's the axiom that I live by. I've been the guy that has sold the low and I've bought the high before. I know what that feels like, but very rarely does it go the other way around. So you've got still pretty good opportunities here in the correction that we've had. It wasn't that long ago. Diesel was trading 270. So is 212 better than 270? Yeah. In the crude oil market, we have been dancing around 55 bucks, which is a 5 year low. We had a little bit of short covering here going into the weekend. We didn't get a $60 print, but a good bounce. I think a lot of that is just end of week balancing. I think that a lot of people put a lot of positions on after what happened in Venezuela this year. On over the weekend, thinking that we'd have huge repricing in crude oil, and it really hasn't. We did spike up a little bit. We did not get above 60. It sure looks like, if you drop me down from Mars and said, look at this chart, it sure looks like crude oil is trying to form a base here at 56 bucks, 55 bucks. But that's been our low going all the way back to April, and that is a 5 year low. But until we can really get sustained move above 70, I can't really get excited about that. However, I do think it's an opportunity for anybody if you use a lot of diesel. Not a bad time to step in and get something bought there if that makes sense to you. That's about it, guys. I wish everybody a happy weekend. Hopefully, the Bears can get through the playoffs here. Both my teams are in it, the Bears and the Steelers. So keep your fingers crossed in that. We'll be back at it. I have sent out as many recommendations as I can to all clients. I did reach out to everybody with a phone call or a text message. If I missed you, you can text me. I'll be up very early on Monday morning. You can call me as early as 6 a.m. if you want to get anything done. The report comes out at 11. That's about it. Have a great weekend. Chris Robinson. Take care.